putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you're watching another Every Which Way interview. And this time, I am pleased to present you all with Catherine, aka Cat from the Cat House, which is a cat rescue sanctuary in beautiful Hawaii. And what is really special about this interview is, to me, Cat is not a flashy, in-your-face kind of person, but she's created a very beautiful dream for herself and intentionally manifested her dream home in what she calls the Enchanted Forest, which is a small redwood forest in Hawaii. I didn't even know redwood trees could grow in Hawaii. And she also intentionally manifested this cat sanctuary. And she lives in her Enchanted Forest with her husband and runs this cat sanctuary. I didn't get to talk to her about everything I wanted to because she was having a little bit of a windstorm, so there's some technical difficulties. So after the interview, I highly recommend that you follow the links down below and go check out her YouTube channel where she talks more about how she's created this life for herself, how she uses the powers of intentional manifestation to live her own version of the dream. And with no further ado, here she is, Cat. Hi, Cat. Welcome to Every Which Way.
Hello, Joanna.
And
I am glad to be here.
I'm so happy to get to talk to you. This is Catherine, for everyone watching. Cat from the Cat House on the Big Island of Hawaii, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about what the Cat House is?
The Cat House is a rescue operation for abandoned and abused animals in my certain area. And what I do is I rescue them from the local dump. And I try to find them homes, and if I can't find them homes, I take them to the Cat House, and they can live out their life at the Cat House.
You find them at the dump, you say?
Oh, yes, they're at the dump. I have probably rescued from just the dump alone about 180.
Wow. Wow. When did you start doing this? What year did you start?
Well, it was very interesting. I think we bought the property, moved over here. We bought it in '78, but we didn't move over here until 2000.
Mm-hmm.
But in anticipation of moving over here, I had seen the abandoned cats at the local dump, and I told my husband, I said I wasn't willing to move there until we had a plan. And I said I wanted to create a nonprofit in order to help those cats. And so that started in '98. And when I came over in 2000, made the big move from Oahu, I decided to work with the Humane Society. I'd be down at the Humane Society, and I noticed there was never any kittens at the Humane Society. None. And I asked why, and they said it was because they couldn't spay and neuter kittens, so they had to euthanize them.
Oh.
And that just seemed incredibly sad to euthanize all these sweet little kittens. So I said I'd foster them. And that was like, oh, that's a great idea. Then it started just growing. The Humane Society would call me and say, we've got a litter of kittens here. If you don't pick them up, we're going to euthanize them. And that was the way it went for quite a while. So our garage had kittens all over. I've made little cages for them that were large cages. And we had the loft filled up. I had all the bottom of the garage all filled up in that. And then I said to my husband, we've got to come up with a better solution than this. Get a cat house. And so what I did is I started looking for a perfect place for a cat house. I went on the internet, put all the parameters in, what I wanted, exactly how much I was willing to pay, and what I wanted in what area. And one little house came up, and it was right around the corner.
And you, kind of to jump around a little bit, you have a home that you built in a forest that you call the Enchanted Forest, and it's broken down into little cabins instead of one big house. And then is that built around the cat house, or is that...
I have to drive to the cat house.
Right. And are you the only person that's taking care of all these cats, or do you have employees?
Nope, I'm the only one.
Wow, that's a lot of cat poop.
That is truly correct.
When you rescue abused cats, like, how do you incorporate them into the group without them causing problems?
Well, what I do is I have the house, and I have it fenced, the yard fenced, and so I have all of these areas that they can go into. And I have a whole other area where the ones that are outside live there too, and they can go in. So when I first get a cat, I can take it into the house, and I have an ISO room, and it's such that they can actually look in from one room to another room to another room so that they can actually start adapting but feel safe. I have one video on making a nonprofit, as far as how I got my nonprofit status, and it has pictures of the house and all through it.
I'm an animal lover, and I'm always moved by people that choose to do this with their life, and I'm trying to portray with Every Which Way how to live the kick-ass life of your dreams, and I just thought you represented a really great, unique point of view in terms of living the magical life of your dreams. And you can live a quieter life. You don't have to run off to try to be a celebrity to live this amazing magical life. You can live in a beautiful forest with your cats. Have you always been passionate about cats in particular, or animals?
I started with dog. I started out with a Collie Shepherd dog, and was the very best, friend and all that. So that's what taught me, how animals are. And then because when I married my husband, who was in the military, and we had to travel all the places. We traveled to Guam, we traveled to Scotland, and all of those areas had strict quarantines. So it was really hard to have pets in the military. So it really wasn't until we ended up on Oahu that we started getting the animals, as far as, and they would come in a magical way. That's how I knew that I had one very special episode where I dreamed of a kitty that would be coming to the house. And I told my husband, I said, I had the weirdest dream last night. We're going to get another cat. We had two at the time. I said, we're going to get another cat, and it's really important that we have the cat come to the door twice. Okay. If we don't take it in on the second time, it will die. And so I was very specific about this dream, and so my husband said, oh, okay. And so about 3 days later, he always closed up the house. That was his job. But for some reason, I went ahead and closed up. And when I went to this door, there was this blue, black, and white kitten. And it was like, honey, the cat's arrived. He comes out and looks at it, and I pick it up as a little kitten, and I pet it and everything. And he said, well, you have to put it out, because your dream said twice. If you take it in now, that's not your dream. It's just a cat that came to the door. So, the kitty, goodbye. I said, if you're my dream kitty, you'll come to the door again. You'll come to the door twice. So I put him out, and we went to bed. About 2:30 in the morning, we heard this meowing and meowing and meowing. And I opened up our bedroom door to go out, and the kitten was at our bedroom door. It had gone from the front door all around the house, down 3 bedrooms, across the family room, over into the family room, in through the cat door in the back, and then found our bedroom over on the other side of the house and meowed at that door.
Wow. He had your number.
He was the dream kitty. So he was my magical kitty, and he's the kitty that's in my logo. He's right in that logo. So I had sent that picture to an artist, and then I sent her a picture of me when I was 30-something, 32, and so she took both of our pictures together and combined it into the logo that I used.
I like how special you make everything in your life, and I love how you incorporate magic in terms of the creation of your life. You have a wonderful video on how you manifested your home, which to me is the fantasy home. I want a home in the forest just like it. It's so adorable. Can you briefly give us a little condensed version of that story of how you found your dream home and manifested that for yourself?
We were living on Guam at the time, and we were going to move to Scotland. And I got one of those free Mac lights over on the wall when I was there for a couple of days before my husband flew over for a conference. And somebody told me we should come down to the Big Island. That was a special place. So I made a reservation. It was a magical way how I got a reservation on the plane. I got a reservation at the place we wanted to stay, all by calling about 4 o'clock that day on a Friday to get it for that night, which was very, very magical in itself. And so when I picked my husband up from coming from Guam, I said, we're going to the Big Island for the night. And when we came to the Big Island, we got off the airplane and we said, whoa, this is the place for us. And so when we got to the hotel, we just said, let's look for property. And so we were starting to look for property the next day. Saturday, we arrived Friday night, we looked for property on Saturday, went with the realtor, couldn't find a thing. And on Sunday morning, we were gassing up to go back, and we said to the gas attendant that we thought this was our place. We thought this was, but we couldn't find anything. And she said, there's a place for sale by me. And so she gave us the address. We went and looked at it, and we didn't like it. And as we were going up the road, we turned around and we said, this is the piece we want. It reminded us so much of our first date in the Redwoods. And so we went back to the gas station, asked the lady who owned the piece. She gave us the name. We cold called the person and said, we just saw your place, was just wondering if you'd be willing to sell it. And he said, no, it's not even for sale. Why are you calling me? And we said, well, we were just wondering. He goes, well, my wife is gone, anyway. And I said, well, can we call back when she's there? And he goes, I don't care what you do, And so I said, so we called back about half hour later. And he answered and he goes, my wife said to sell it to you. And so, wow. So we asked him how much he wanted for it. And so we said, oh, great, we can put half of that down. Would you be willing to finance us for the rest of it? And he goes, you've got a lot of nerve. Not only do you cold call me on property that's not for sale, you asked me to finance it for you. And we said, well, you can always say no. And so he goes over and my wife said to sell it to you.
Wow, this is a cool woman, this wife.
So that's how we got the property and move over here until 2000. But we started building those first cottages in 1989.
You have a bunch of cottages spread out, and I love that it's like privacy, but it also just kind of has a magical quality to it. And you have your own little office, or you have your own witchy room, and then does your husband have his own building?
He has his own building, too. That's one of the secrets to a happy marriage, is we each have a separate place, too.
How long have you and your husband been together?
36 years.
Wow. So I guess you would know a secret or two about a happy marriage.
Yes, and separate places is one of them.
And he seems to go along with you on your adventures of like, I know this is the place, or I need to start a cat sanctuary.
Yeah, he does. I'm very, very, very lucky that he does.
What is your connection with cats? How did this happen? I mean, you are Cat, Catherine, but why cats? Is it just because there's so many of them, or do you have a special connection with them?
Well, one is because those were the ones that were abandoned at the dump. The other thing is it's very hard to have a dog house. So just as far as dogs barking, cats are pretty quiet, so you can do a lot more as far as having more cats than you can dogs.
Do you have any advice for someone who would maybe even just like to take in a couple animals, not even necessarily start a sanctuary, but maybe I see a stray cat and I decide to adopt it and take it home? What's your best advice for me?
Get it spayed and neutered. Spayed for a female, neutered for a boy. Okay? And the other thing is don't tell anybody.
Oh, why is that?
Because when somebody thinks that you are a rescuer, if they know where you live, this is one of the reasons I thought that if I created the cutest magical place for a cat house and people would come and adopt and be in the room and go, oh, this is so wonderful, because most people hate to go to the Humane Society. But what happens is that they know where you live and they dump. I had 2 kittens dumped last week.
What do you do with those animals?
Well, I usually have taken them.
All right. We are having a lot of technical difficulties, so I want to wrap it up, but I can't not ask you what your number one tip is for living a kick-ass life, or how to create the magical life of your dreams, because this is something that you do in your life. You intentionally manifested your home and your business. You've got a great marriage that's lasted many years. So what advice do you have for the rest of us on how to create this for ourselves, our own version?
When you get that piece of intuition, that little nudge that nags at you for a moment, nags at you again, act on it. Act on it. You know, that's the thing I've always done. And be fearless as far as, don't be afraid to take no for an answer. If you don't ask, it's 100% no. If you ask, it's a 50% possibility. You've doubled your chances. So ask.
And you practice what you preach. You are a bit fearless. I'm going to link to Sweet Cat Magic, your YouTube channel, down below. I urge people to watch. You are filled with all kinds of wisdom and interesting stories about your life, and many of them demonstrate the fearlessness that you've shown in your life. And I'm sorry we didn't get to tap into that all right now, but we've got a lot of wind, I think.
It is. It's the windiest day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kat, and have a beautiful day.
Well, thank you, Joanna. And you were the one that got me on making videos. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be making videos.
And you hit the ground running. You're amazing. I'm backlogged on a few. I need to play catch up here, but I love your videos. You've got so much heart.
Well, you inspired me, your enthusiasm, and it's great to talk with you.
Thank you. Much love. Peace.